What is up guys, Wraec is here with a new video, and today we got the Ravion raid up on the global server and I already went ahead and summoned them. The video on the summons is coming up on this channel too very soon, so stay tuned for that. Subscribe if you want to see it. And beyond that, well, today is the question, of course, should you summon Ravion? And I have pretty clear answer for that, so let's get into this review. Ravion was shown to us on the Pioneer server, quickly made its way into the Perseus team, and well, it was a little bit overshadowed at this point, I think. Now that he's on global, he really got a little bit more time to shine. And I put him in some teams and I was quite surprised. And I think before we get into any skill descriptions or descriptions of whatever analysis, I don't know, let me just quickly show you what it's all about. Let me just give you a demonstration of how this looks when we get buffed by Ravion and how surprising it can be. And well, it surprised me quite a lot. So let's check this out. Pretty tough fight here, and it's over. So yeah, that was a fight. Pretty cool content, I think. And yeah, so might have been a little bit confusing. We were at a Paragon disadvantage here, I think. Yeah, we were at a Paragon disadvantage here, both with normal arena artifacts. And yeah, so that's quite insane. We saw this before with Lily May, that her range stop ability just becomes quite insane if you give her a huge attack buff. Was really with Pandora also possible. But with Ravion it's just super easy. And I don't want to say that this is like the super PvP meta team. Nah, not at all. There are several ways to beat this, including stuff like Cider or something. But also, yeah, it just demonstrates how much this hero can add and how high the buffs can really go. But what are the buffs really? What can we do here? What happens? And maybe for that we change the team up a little bit, because this is here a little bit too fast. So I changed the speed now to normal speed, and we changed Lily May to Siren. Siren is also very good at working with Ravion. The heroes that are in general very good with working with Ravion are heroes that immediately deal a ton of damage at the start of the fight. Meaning they mostly have abilities that allow them to either deal damage rather quickly, Dynel, Crynaya, or well, just have other abilities that allow them to deal damage swiftly. For example, the Mythic Plus of Siren in this situation comes together with this ability number 2 that allows him to throw those 3 magic orbs, which do a ton of damage. And I want you to keep an eye out on the HP bar and the buffs of our Siren. We can see we start off with some buffs. He very quickly get a ton of buffs, and very quickly also activate our ult, and this ult is basically supercharged. This is really a supercharged ult because it looks like a black hole. It is kind of crazy. Even like this, look at the damage that we did here. That is absolutely obscene. We'll watch it one more time because it still feels like it's over fairly fast, and it's not even double speed. We have our energy super quickly. We already did the ult. Look at that. That was 4 seconds. That was even faster than Pandora, and you could have added something like a Leica or something like that to even get more energy more quickly. And this is truly quite insane. So how does this work? Let's get into the details of this ability. Our Ravion at the moment is P2, which is pretty good for PvP. P4 obviously would have been better. And what makes him interesting? Well, it's not really his ult. Really, it is the second ability. It is the designated duty ability. When a battle starts, Ravion assigns an objective to each of the 2 rearmost allies. So that something you want to keep in mind. The heroes that get the buffs are the 2 rearmost allies. And they also show a demonstration here. So the rearmost tile is the one closest to you, basically to Merlin on the right. So this one, then this one, then this one, then this one, and then this one. So that is basically the order, and you should check this out because you want to place the right heroes on those tiles so that they get this objective. So, and then how do they complete the objective? Either by dealing damage equal to 2000% of Ravion's initial attack, which sounds like a lot. Actually isn't that complicated. For a lot of heroes that works fairly swiftly. Or assisting or defeating an enemy. And in the case that we are fighting a boss, after 20 seconds the objective gets completed. So this is auto-completed after 20 seconds, meaning we can also use him against bosses. What do we get for that? Well, we recover 150 energy, which leads to the quick Siren ult, and then we increase the attack by 12%. Later on it becomes actually 15%. of Ravion's initial attack for 30 seconds. So pretty long attack buff that we get right here. And then he activates Mortal Ace, which is like a teleport ability that reduces enemy attack and fist death. It's pretty nice. It's really not the main point. It's really not the main point. But against bosses it obviously helps to reduce their attack and fist death, so that is fairly nice. I don't really want to say something against it. This later on gets enhanced in two ways. First way is Shadow Patron. And in Shadow Patron we don't really need to... Or I should better say, the focus doesn't seem to be on the designated duty, but it says, after Ravion uses his first Mortal Ace attack. When does he do that? Well, it says it right here. After 2 allies have completed the objective, Ravion activates Mortal Ace. So, what is a quick way to do that? Well, you kind of want to have 2 damage dealers that can complete the objective rather swiftly. If you have that, and in the Perseus melee team, I mean, obviously Perseus can complete this objective very quickly, and then you can have something like a Lily May doing the same, so you can have both of those on the same team, and the original version of Alpha had that. So that is something that you want to do so that you can quickly activate Mortal Ace, and then at the same time you want to activate Mortal Ace to then get the increase that you get right here. He permanently increases haste by 25% and attack by 25% of his initial attack for himself and any allies who have completed their objectives. Obviously, the 2 allies have to complete the objective to have Mortal Ace, so you buff them again and get them haste and attack. And that is a permanent increase, so not a temporary buff, but still we take 25 haste and attack every single day. We then can upgrade this to up to 35% when we get the plus 15. In the footage that you saw, it was just 30%, and we also didn't even take a bigger look at this ability, and this was mostly focusing on the immediate buff. And then we have a very nice ability when Ravion or an ally with the objective takes a final blow, Lifesaver is activated and prevents this death and grants them a shield and life drain. So we once again have an ability that can save us from death here in a pretty similar way as Ellie said, so this is very, very cool. And the last part that is very, very important, any ally accepts an objective from Ravion, gets a 15% attack increase, becomes an unaffected. So we have immediate unaffected basically at the start of the fight for our 2 rearmost allies, and that and those effects last for 5 seconds. So this is pretty cool. So with that understanding, let's wombo combo Atraxi a little bit. Also has the Divine Fortune title, that's crazy. And what I basically set up here is the quintessence of what we just saw. We have Ravion, we grant 2 allies the objectives so that we activate his ability super quickly, and the 2 allies that I chose were for one Siren, and then on the other hand of course Lily May, both of which we know work very well, and I cheekily added a Hugin just because we are now running a burst team essentially. We don't need the ult of Lily May, so we just focus on the ult of Siren. We have Ravion on the team, but we don't need his ult either, we just focus on the objective and then on Mortal Ace. And yeah, that looks like this. So that is pretty crazy. Yeah. Before 4 seconds really ended, we had a Siren ult out, and we had completely annihilated the enemy. Enemy Siren still doing fairly good damage, and maybe we can slow this down a little bit. Seeing the big hits, we're seeing all the buffs over here. Slow down. I can't talk over a 4-second clip. It just doesn't work. I don't know. We don't see the Lily May buffs because she never really ends her rain ballet before the fight ends. So this is just like a little bit insane. This is the optimal way you really use Ravion for PvP. Both the Siren and the Lily May inherently then are unaffected. I saw that you can actually switch teleport a hero that has an objective by Ravion, which is kind of weird, but this works somehow, so be careful of that. You can't just put them on a Rainier tile without them being properly gone. But that already gives you like the quintessence. We can then focus on the other abilities. First of all, the ult. Launches 15 leaf cards. Each card deals 40% damage plus extra damage equal to 6% of the lost enemy HP. And the damage can be up to 120% of Ravion's attack per card. So this is quite substantial actually. That's quite a lot of damage. He takes a fairly long time to cast this ult. It's on a cooldown of 2 seconds, it says. It takes a little bit to be cast. And actually, during the time he casts it, he is in the air, but he's still attackable, he's just unaffected. So it doesn't really become immune, and that of course can lead to him quickly dying. I don't really consider his ult too great, but in certain situations towards like the end game of a fight, we can say, I certainly saw Ravion ult before save me, because it deals a ton of damage. The objective, as we said, mostly are the main point. Mortal Ace is like bonus, we can say, but still, nonetheless, if you want to activate the Mythic Plus, I think it's a good way to go forward if you use 2 heroes and are aware of the hero positioning to make it possible to activate it. Because if you put like your objective on, let's say, a Ludovic, it is kind of not worth it. It is kind of not worth it. You just hinder yourself from activating Mortal Ace, and in the best case, even with a Perseus team or something, you make it possible that you activate the objectives within the flow of the fight. So just like, let's say the Siren and the Lily May attack, they activate the objectives so that you can add Mortal Ace to your burst. He really plays into that burst role, so that is the insane part. And then lastly, really, we just have an attack increase, and that's about it for the hero. That's really about it for the hero. We have to talk about the last topic, which is his use, and I can say he is already in here. So we already made it into the best Necro Dragon team. There he is, and does very well there. We can do an attack. Is place 1 at the moment, so yeah, with the buffs and everything, doing good damage as well. Partly we also have to say it is because of his charm, so those will certainly help for the moment. Increases non-normal attack damage dealt by 15% and converts 40% of that damage into true damage. And if the damage is already true damage, cause the target to lose HP equal to 10% of the damage dealt. So it might be that his damage in Dream Realm is worse next season, but right now, between the buffs that he provides and the damage he does, he made it into Necro Dragon at least. And we have to see if he makes it into more DR teams. Then, of course, he also made it into Ravage Realm. Can't really show you a fight because I've already done mine. My Sylvan squad is weak this season. Horrible. Horrible. Yeah, just bad. I don't know. I don't have the right heroes really invested. My granny sucks. I didn't go for Pang. I forgot to summon him. Legit forgot to summon him. I usually summon every hero to Supreme Plus. I just forgot him. Just wasn't important. But nonetheless, we are play 7. Pretty comfortable with that. He intimated into that team too. So we have like nice damage numbers here from him. We have the buffs from him, so that's good. Yeah. So what is the end of all of this? Well, we have a super solid hero right here. And if you want to go for top Ravage Realm and want to have your top Sylvan squad numbers, well, you probably want to summon him. On top of that, you get a great PvP unit. You get the unit that is at the moment in Dream Realm. I think he is a fair summon. He's a fair summon. The only reason to not summon him right now would be if you were to wait for Perseus. And Perseus at the moment, I think, well, he wasn't in DR. He wasn't really in AFK status and PvP. He was, of course, very, very strong. But at the same time, the Perseus teams that we saw relied heavily on a combo potential between a lot of fairly new heroes. So I think Ravion is a fairly safe bet for the end of the season here, and is a pretty good character. In an optimal case, of course, you can summon both. And in an even more optimal case, you can summon them so that you can use both of them in PvP, because Perseus is one of those characters that can deal damage at the beginning of a fight very, very swiftly. So he would be desirable to play with the Ravion objective, and this would probably boost his damage quite a ton and would be very good. And therefore, really both of those are combination, and I kind of want to summon Perseus P4 and like Ravion P2. That was the goal. We got Ravion P2, obviously. So that is kind of the thing that I see here. It depends a little bit on where you are in the game, of course. There are a ton of other heroes that are very important. I mean, still you want to have your Iron, and you want to have your Velara, but if you're already putting something like Peng on your wishlist, then you probably go for it. I think, like, really, you don't need a Heathen. You can kind of go for Tazi. At the moment, I think he's better than Tazi. For Tazi, you have options. Though Tazi is also still fairly nice in PvE, I guess. Maybe like third best. I would say he's after Velara for the DR part, because Velara has been everywhere in DR. And that kind of ranks her higher for me. And for PvP, yeah, he's probably the best. Close to Lily May. But he kind of enables Lily May. Lily May hasn't really seen too much play in PvP, despite still being strong. I would say maybe on the same level. Maybe on the same level as Lily May in PvP. And then he made it into the R, so he's a very, very good summon and is a recommendation for definitely every single wave. Definitely every single wave. And if you still think about, like, if you want to summon Perseus to P2 or something, well, probably just go for Ravion. And maybe we get Ravion S+, and then Perseus S+2, and then you can kind of enhance them later. I guess that is the better way then. I would just... Depending on where you are in Ravaged Realm, this can actually make a difference. So be careful with that, check that out. Other than that, we really have to say one more thing. And that is, of course, shout out to LD Shop. They have the cheapest dragon crystals that you can get for AFK Journey. And therefore, I absolutely recommend that you check out that shop. If you go through the link down in the description right now, you get a 15, not 50, not yet, maybe soon, 15% discount coupon and a 5% discount coupon on top of that to make your purchase here even cheaper. They do lock-in top-up. I tested it. A lot of other people have tested it. They are very secure options. They are from the makers of LD Player, if you know. That's very famous Android emulator. And also at the moment, if you play Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, Zenless Zero or Wuthering Waves and spend 80 USD in 1 month on in the LD shop, then you can get one of the passes for the respective games that I just said for free. So that is also a very nice offer they have at the moment. So definitely stay tuned. Go through the link in the description, check out LD shop, and thank you LD shop for sponsoring this video. And with that, we end the video on Ravion by showing you the wonderful animation they made for his ult, because I think it's quite great. Looks fairly cool, will definitely abuse for thumbnail, so that's nice. And other than that, I wonder what's your decision on it. Will you go for Ravion? Will you save for Perseus? For Perseus, one last thing that I can add for the people that really stayed till the end. Perseus, well, he's in the Pioneer server still. I doubt he's going to be nerfed, but he might be, so that is a thing that could happen. For Ravion, we know he's on the global server, so that's fairly safe. That's maybe a perspective too, so keep that in mind. Other than that, make sure to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see us in the next one.